the sun slips quietly beneath the horizon, and the last golden rays fade into gentle shades of violet and blue, the city begins to transform. By day it is full of footsteps, voices, and hurried movement. But at night, when the moon rises, the city softens. Its corners blur, its walls seem to breathe, and everything slows down. The air feels cooler, lighter, as though it carries whispers instead of sounds. The streets, which only hours ago echoed with wheels turning and people calling to one another, now rest beneath a blanket of silence. Lamps flicker softly, one by one, casting circles of pale light on cobblestone paths. Windows close gently, curtains are drawn, and the world begins to dream. Yet if you listen carefully, you can still hear faint echoes. An old bell far in the distance, the rustle of leaves brushing against stone walls, the quiet sigh of the earth itself as it exhales. The city at night feels alive in a different way. No longer rushing, no longer loud, but steady, patient, as though it is keeping watch over those who sleep. The rooftops seem taller beneath the stars, stretching just a little closer to the sky. The rivers that wind between bridges flow more slowly, reflecting pieces of the moon like tiny fragments of silver. Even the air seems to move differently. Slower, gentler, carrying a fragrance of night-blooming flowers and fresh rain long past. For those who stay awake in these hours, it is as though another world appears. A softer world, where shadows are no longer frightening but comforting. Where the sound of footsteps on stone echoes not with urgency, but with curiosity. Where the city whispers secrets, not with words, but with silence itself. In this quiet city, time seems to stretch. A minute feels longer, a breath feels deeper. A thought drifts like a feather carried by the wind. There is no hurry here. No rush to reach anywhere, no need to do anything. Only the presence of the night, wrapping everything in stillness, inviting the heart to rest. Above, the moon watches gently. It casts its light like a guardian, touching rooftops, trees, windows, and doorways with silver glow. Shadows fall in soft patterns, like brushstrokes painted slowly by unseen hands. Every surface seems to shimmer faintly, as if it has been waiting for this moment, waiting for night to reveal its hidden beauty. And as the moon climbs higher, the city becomes quieter still. Cats curl into doorways. Lanterns swing softly in the breeze. The world narrows into whispers, into breaths, into dreams. And just when it feels as though the silence cannot grow deeper, something stirs. Somewhere, in a corner forgotten by most, a faint glimmer begins to appear. Not a sound, not a shadow, but a presence, as though a doorway is thinking of opening. The city holds its breath. The night grows thicker. The moonlight bends ever so slightly, spilling like liquid silver into a narrow street. And in that hidden place, down a lane where few ever wander, something extraordinary prepares to awaken. For this is not an ordinary city, and this is not an ordinary night. It is a night when a bookstore, unseen during the day, begins to reveal itself. A place that waits not for the noise of daylight, but for the calm of moonlight. A place that belongs not to footsteps hurrying, but to hearts dreaming. A place that exists only when the world is quiet enough to hear it. The city does not resist. It welcomes the secret with silence. And you, wandering softly through the night, are about to discover that some doors do not appear until you are ready for them. Some doors only open when the rest of the world has fallen asleep. And so, in the whispering city at night, the story truly begins. As the night deepens, the city sinks further into its quiet rhythm. The air cools, carrying with it the faint fragrance of stone touched by moonlight, of jasmine blooming softly against iron gates, of distant bread still warm from ovens long closed. You feel the silence settle deeper around you, not heavy but comforting like a blanket drawn across the shoulders. And then, as you wander through the narrow lanes where the cobblestones glimmer faintly, you notice something strange. At first, it is nothing more than a shimmer, a trick of the eye, as though the air itself has bent for a moment, like heat rising from the ground on a summer day. The shimmer is faint, subtle, easy to overlook. Yet the longer you look, the more certain you become that it is no illusion. At the end of a narrow street, pressed between two ordinary stone buildings, a doorway begins to take shape. It is not there all at once. It breathes into being slowly, as though painted stroke by the hands of the moon. The outline appears first, a faint silver glow sketching the arch of a door where there was only wall before. Then comes the wood, dark and rich, polished smooth though no carpenter's tool ever touched it. Finally, letters emerge across the top, curling like vines, soft and golden. The bookstore of dreams. It feels alive, this doorway, as though it has been waiting not just for the night, but for you. The air around it hums softly, like the faintest note of a lullaby carried on the wind. The street grows even quieter, as though the city itself is holding its breath, giving space for this secret to reveal itself. The windows appear next. Tall, narrow panes of glass that glow faintly from within, though no lantern seems to burn inside. The light is not firelight nor candlelight, but something softer, like the glow of a star cupped gently in the palm of a hand. Through the windows you see the faintest movement, shelves rising high, rows of books waiting patiently, dust motes drifting like tiny sparks in the golden haze. And yet, though the bookstore looks solid, real, you can sense its fragility. You know that if the sun were to rise, or if the noise of the day were to intrude, it would vanish as quietly as it appeared, folding itself back into shadow. The thought makes you pause. There is a kind of magic here, but it is a magic that requires trust. Trust in the night, trust in silence, trust in your own wonder. You step closer and the air changes. It feels warmer, softer, touched with the faint perfume of old paper and polished wood. There is comfort in it, like stepping into the memory of a place you have never been, yet somehow always known. The door is now complete, its handle gleaming faintly as though inviting your touch. And for a moment you hesitate, because you understand instinctively. Once you open this door, the night will never be the same again. You will cross a threshold not just of stone and wood, but of time, of memory, of dream. The moonlight bends across the street, touching the handle with silver, urging you gently forward. And the silence, far from empty, feels like a promise, that within this place lies rest, peace, and stories that have been waiting only for you. Your hand reaches out. The metal is cool beneath your fingers, yet somehow alive, pulsing faintly as though it carries the heartbeat of the night itself. You turn it slowly. The door does not creak, does not resist. It opens smoothly, silently, as though it has been waiting a very long time to do so. From within, a breath of warmth greets you. The air is filled with the scent of books, leather and parchment, ink and time. But there is more. There is the faint sweetness of dreams themselves, as though the very air is laced with stories yet untold. And beyond the threshold, glowing softly in golden light, lies the bookstore. It stretches further than it should, shelves rising into the distance, ladders leaning against endless rows of volumes bound in colors you've never seen. Some are deep and shimmering like midnight skies, others soft and glowing like dawn mist. Each book seems to hum faintly, as though alive, as though whispering secrets too delicate for words. You take your first step inside. The moment you cross the threshold, the city behind you disappears into silence. The door closes gently, sealing you into this new world. You are no longer standing in the streets of stone, no longer surrounded by the quiet city. You are inside something older, deeper, softer. You are inside a place where the night itself has chosen to keep its most delicate treasures. And as the golden glow deepens, a voice rises, calm and steady, waiting to welcome you. As the heavy wooden doors of the hidden bookstore slowly drift open, a faint whisper of air escapes from within, carrying with it the delicate fragrance of old paper and polished wood. It is a scent that feels both grounding and ethereal at the same time, as if the room itself remembers centuries of dreams that have been carefully tucked into the bindings of books. Stepping across the threshold, you find yourself entering a space where silence feels alive, where even the soft echo of your breath seems to linger like a gentle ripple across a still pond. The first thing you notice is the glow. It does not come from lamps or candles in the way you might expect. Instead, the shelves themselves seem to radiate a muted warmth, as though the very spines of the books were infused with starlight. Each book has its own faint shimmer, subtle and tender, never overwhelming, like fireflies resting quietly in the dark. This gentle light makes it possible to wander without fear, but it also creates a sense of wonder, as if every step you take reveals a secret meant only for you. The floor beneath your feet is smooth and cool, made of polished stone but not cold. It has the grounding effect of earth, reassuring you that while the shelves stretch endlessly in every direction, you are safe within them. A hush fills the air, but it is not an empty silence. If you listen closely, you can hear it, the soft rustle of pages turning somewhere in the distance, though no one else seems to be there. Perhaps the books are reading themselves. Perhaps dreams are whispering to one another. The sound is faint, steady, and soothing, like a heartbeat that belongs not to one person, but to the entire store itself. As you move further in, you notice that the shelves are impossibly tall, towering like ancient trees. Their tops vanish into a ceiling you cannot quite see, as if the roof were made of shadows stitched with stars. Every row feels alive, breathing, waiting, as though each book is aware of your presence. Some spines lean toward you, ever so slightly, like friends leaning in to share a quiet secret. Others remain straight and poised, content to wait until the right moment when their story is chosen. To your left, a long wooden counter stretches like an anchor in the room, carved from dark oak. Behind it rests an old ledger, its pages filled with handwriting that flows in a language you do not yet understand. A quill sits quietly on top, though no one seems to have placed it there. You half expect it to lift and begin writing on its own, tracing out a record of your presence as naturally as a shadow marks the passage of the sun. The counter itself is empty of people, yet it does not feel abandoned. It feels watched over, as though someone or something has been waiting for you to arrive. At the center of the room, a single chair sits beside a small round table. On the table rests a lantern, but instead of a flame, it holds a glass orb filled with liquid silver that shimmers as if stirred by an invisible hand. This light is softer than the glow of the books, and it bends gently across the room, illuminating pathways that wind deeper into the store. The chair looks inviting, not just as a place to rest, but as a place where someone once sat for hours, lost in thought, listening perhaps to the gentle hum of dreams floating in the air. You wander further and find alcoves hidden between the aisles. Each nook holds not just books but also trinkets, old compasses that point not north but to the last place you dreamed of, clocks with hands that move only when you close your eyes, glass jars filled with what looks like captured moonlight. Every object seems designed to remind you that this is no ordinary bookstore. This is a place that gathers not only stories, but fragments of human imagination, as though the store itself has been collecting pieces of the night for centuries. Though no one else appears, you never feel alone. The store is quiet, yes, but the quiet is a companion in itself, steady and reassuring. Every breath you take feels deeper, slower, easier, as though the very air is designed to calm you. The glow, the hush, the faint music of turning pages, all of it combines into a melody that soothes your mind, loosens the knots of your thoughts, and invites you to surrender to the moment. Finally, as you stand still, letting the atmosphere settle around you, you realize the truth. This bookstore is not waiting for customers. It is waiting for dreamers. It opens only at night, not because of the absence of sunlight, but because nighttime is when hearts are softest, when the mind loosens its grip on the day, and when the soul is ready to wander freely through other people's dreams. And tonight, with the doors open and the shelves aglow, it has opened for you. As you drift deeper into the bookstore, you begin to sense a presence. It is not startling, nor is it frightening. Instead, it feels as though someone has been patiently waiting for you all along, someone who belongs to this place as naturally as the shelves, the glow, and the silence. First, you cannot see them. There are only shadows, the soft glow of the books, and the faint whisper of turning pages that seem to breathe through the aisles. But then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, a figure emerges from between two towering shelves. The figure is cloaked in a robe of deep midnight blue, woven with threads that shimmer like scattered constellations. Every fold of the fabric moves as though touched by an invisible breeze, though the air itself remains still. The robe is long, brushing against the polished stone floor, and it carries with it the faint fragrance of lavender and cedarwood, scents that seem designed to quiet the restless corners of your mind. The hood of the robe is pulled forward, veiling the face in soft shadows, yet you do not feel any unease. Instead, you feel comfort, like the calm presence of an old friend who needs no words to remind you that you are safe. When the figure finally speaks, the voice is soft, low, and steady. It resonates like the echo of a lullaby you once heard long ago, familiar yet unplaceable, as if it has been waiting in your memory for this very moment. "Welcome," the voice says, no louder than a breath. "You have crossed the threshold of dreams. This is not a place of stories imagined, but of stories lived, moments carried from the fragile space between waking and sleeping." You realize then who this figure must be. The keeper of dreams. Not an owner in the traditional sense, not a shopkeeper, not a merchant, but a guardian. A custodian of all the dreams that have been captured and woven into these countless books. Their task is not to sell, but to protect. Not to persuade, but to guide. The bookstore is alive, yes, but the keeper is its voice, its gentle steward, ensuring that those who enter are led toward the story that is meant for them. The keeper does not rush. Every movement is slow, deliberate, peaceful. Their hand, pale against the midnight robe, extends toward the shelves, and without touching a single book, one spine glows a little brighter than the rest. The keeper does not pull it down, not yet. Instead, they turn toward you, as though inviting you to look more closely, to feel the quiet pulse that hums through the binding. "Every book here holds a dream once dreamt," they whisper. Not fantasy, not invention, but truth captured in the language of the night. To open one is to step into the heart of someone else's slumber, to walk where they have wandered, to feel what they have felt. You glance around, and suddenly the room feels different. Where before the shelves seemed to shimmer gently, now they feel alive, vibrating softly with the countless lives and memories they contain. You understand then. These books are not meant to be consumed in haste. They are invitations, doors into the intimate landscapes of strangers' inner worlds. And the keeper is here to ensure you do not become lost in them, to guide you toward the dream that calls to you most clearly. The keeper steps closer, and though their face remains hidden, you feel their gaze settle on you with a warmth that melts through the stillness. "Not every dream is restful," they say softly. "Some are fragile, some are bittersweet, and some carry shadows. But all of them are true. And truth, even when tender, has its own way of healing." Their voice seems to wrap around you like a blanket, carrying weight and comfort at once. You find yourself breathing more deeply as you listen, your body loosening as though the very sound has lulled your mind into ease. Each word is slow, drawn out, gentle, as though it were chosen not to instruct you, but to guide you into stillness. You realize the keeper is not just speaking to your ears. They are speaking to the restless part of you that you carry inside, the part that yearns for rest yet resists it. For a moment, the bookstore grows even quieter. The pages stop turning in the distance. The shelves hold their breath. The light dims slightly as though all of it, the books, the shelves, the floor, the very air, is waiting for you to decide. The keeper does not push. They simply remain by your side, calm and steady, as the silence deepens and settles like a warm tide. In this hush you feel it, the gentle tug of a particular shelf, a faint pull in the air that draws you forward. And though you cannot yet see which book is waiting for you, you know that the keeper will be there when you reach it. For that is their purpose, not to choose your dream for you but to walk beside you as you step into it. And so, with the keeper of dreams at your side, you take another step deeper into the glowing silence of the bookstore, ready to discover the dream that waits to unfold. With the keeper walking quietly at your side, you follow the soft glow deeper into the heart of the bookstore. The air feels different here, cooler, gentler, carrying with it the faint fragrance of paper, ink, and something almost like rain on stone. The silence has a weight to it, but it is not heavy. It is the kind of silence that feels alive, a hush that holds more meaning than words ever could. The shelves here stretch higher than before, impossibly tall, disappearing into the dim ceiling above. Their wooden frames seem carved not by human hands, but by time itself, polished smooth by centuries of patience. As you draw closer, you notice something unusual. The shelves seem to hum. Very faintly, almost too quiet to notice, but if you tilt your head and breathe slowly, you hear it. A low vibration, steady and endless, like the softest note of a lullaby sung from far away. The keeper pauses beside you, their midnight robe shimmering with faint constellations. Without lifting their hood, they raise a hand, urging you to listen. The shelves whisper, the keeper says gently, their voice slow and soothing, as though speaking too quickly might disturb the balance. Every dream leaves behind an echo, and here those echoes never fade. They settle into the wood, into the stone, into the very breath of this place. Listen closely, and you will hear them. At first, it seems like nothing more than a faint hum. But the longer you stand still, the more you begin to notice. The hum becomes layered, like the soft weaving of many voices at once. Some are gentle and melodic, like a child's laughter carried on the wind. Others are slower, deeper, like the long sigh of someone finally at peace. There are no clear words, no sentences, but feelings. The shelves are alive with the emotions of countless dreamers. Moments of joy, fragments of sorrow, whispers of wonder. You step closer, placing your hand on the smooth wooden frame. The instant your skin makes contact, the vibration passes through your fingertips like a faint warmth, spreading into your palm, then up your arm until it settles somewhere near your chest. The whispering deepens, wrapping around you like a quiet tide. You cannot understand the language, and yet you do. It speaks not to your mind, but to the quieter part of you, the part that drifts between sleep and wakefulness, where everything makes sense without explanation. The keeper remains silent now, allowing you to experience this moment. Their presence is steady, reassuring, but they do not interrupt. This is not something to be explained. It is something to be felt. You close your eyes, letting the whispers fold over you, and suddenly, the shelves are no longer just wood and paper. They are vast landscapes, living archives of dreams long past. You can almost see them, soft images forming at the edge of your imagination. A field of tall grass shimmering under a silver moon. A boat adrift on a calm ocean. Stars reflected in the water. A forgotten street, lit by lanterns that never go out. Each image flickers in your mind for only a heartbeat before dissolving back into the hum. And yet, they leave behind a strange peace, as though the shelves themselves are breathing their comfort into you. You realize then that this place is not simply about dreams. It is about rest. Every whisper, every echo, exists not to confuse or overwhelm, but to soothe. The shelves remember so you do not have to. The keeper finally speaks again, their voice slow and hushed, blending seamlessly with the hum. These shelves hold what has been dreamed, but also what has been forgotten. Many who wander here find pieces of themselves they didn't know they had left behind. Some stay and listen for hours, some only for moments. But all leave lighter than when they arrived. You breathe deeply, and for the first time in a long while you feel that lightness. A quiet part of you loosens, as though some weight you didn't realize you were carrying has been gently set down. The whispers are not just the echoes of strangers. They are your echoes too, folded into the fabric of this place the moment you step through the hidden door. As you open your eyes again, the shelves glow faintly brighter, as if acknowledging your presence. You feel calmer now, your thoughts slower, your body softer. The keeper turns and begins to walk again, and though they do not say it, you know it is time to move deeper still. The shelves continue to hum behind you, their whispers lingering in your mind like the last notes of a lullaby fading into the night. And so, with the keeper of dreams guiding you, you leave the whispering shelves behind, carrying with you their gentle echoes, as you step toward whatever secret waits in the next aisle of this endless, moonlit bookstore. You follow the keeper deeper into the bookstore. The shelves curve like rivers, winding endlessly, carrying you further into stillness. The faint hum of the whispering shelves fades into the background, leaving behind a softer silence that seems to open wide, like a calm sky just before dawn. The light shifts too. Where before it shimmered like fireflies, here it feels more like moonlight spilling across water, steady, silvery, and serene. The keeper slows their pace. You notice their steps become quieter, almost hesitant, as though they are approaching something sacred. Finally, they stop at the end of a long aisle. Without speaking, they tilt their hooded head toward a single shelf. You look closer, expecting to see rows of glowing spines, but instead, there is only one book resting in the center. It is not dusty, nor is it new. It looks timeless, as though it has always been waiting right there, in that exact spot, for this exact moment. Its cover shifts subtly, like silk under moonlight, changing hues when your eyes move across it. Sometimes it appears deep blue like the midnight sky. Sometimes it shimmers gold, as if woven with sunlight. And sometimes it is soft gray, calm and still, like a stone beside a quiet river. You take a slow breath. Somehow you know this book is meant for you. The keeper doesn't need to explain. It is already clear. They step back slightly, their robe brushing against the floor, leaving you alone with the shelf. The silence deepens, expectant but gentle, urging you to reach out. When your fingertips touch the cover, you feel warmth. Not heat, but a steady pulse, like the rhythm of a heartbeat. It does not belong to the keeper, nor to the store itself. Feels like it belongs to you. You lift the book carefully from the shelf, and for a moment, it feels heavier than it should. But as you hold it longer, the weight softens, until it seems to float effortlessly in your hands, as light as a dream. When you open the first page, the air shifts. The faint scent of old paper mingles with something new. The smell of rain on grass, of fresh wind through open windows, of something familiar you cannot quite name. The words on the page are not ordinary text. They move gently, rearranging themselves as you gaze at them. And then you realize, this is not a book you read. This is a book that reads you. The story unfolding on the page is not random, nor chosen from a stranger's dream. It is yours. The book is alive with the echoes of your own nights, the fragments of your own imagination, the whispers of dreams you have long forgotten. You see faint memories drift across the parchment. A childhood afternoon spent lying in tall grass, watching clouds drift slowly by. A fleeting dream where you flew above silver oceans, your hands outstretched toward a glowing horizon. The face of someone you once loved, smiling in a way you thought you'd forgotten. Each page breathes gently, showing you pieces of yourself that feel both distant and intimate. And though the memories are your own, the way they appear is dreamlike, soft, blurred at the edges, glowing as though painted with moonlight. It is not overwhelming. The book knows what you are ready to see. It shows only enough to bring comfort, never too much to stir unrest. The keeper's voice returns at last, so soft it is almost a thought rather than sound. Every dreamer who finds their way here has a book waiting for them. It does not ask to be sought. It waits, quietly, until the dreamer is ready. Tonight you were ready. And so, the book found you. You turn another page, and the book reveals something different. Not just forgotten dreams, but possibilities. Futures that might be, paths not yet walked. You see yourself standing on a quiet shore, listening to waves that sing softly in a language you do not yet understand. You see yourself beneath tall trees, their branches glowing with lanterns of starlight, walking hand in hand with someone whose face is blurred, not because they are unknown, but because they are yet to be met. The book does not promise these futures. It simply reminds you that they exist, like stars hidden behind clouds, waiting for the sky to clear. It whispers to the quiet part of your heart, the part that still believes in wonder, the part that longs to rest in the possibility of what might come. You close the book gently, and as you do, it sighs softly, almost like a breath of relief. The warmth fades, leaving only a trace, like the memory of being held. You place it back on the shelf, but the space it leaves behind does not feel empty. The book is no longer only there. It is also within you now. The keeper nods once, as though confirming what you already know. The shelves hum faintly again, and the silence folds back around you, deeper, softer, calmer than before. You feel lighter, softer, as though some quiet truth has been given back to you. And so, with the keeper guiding your steps once more, you leave the aisle behind. The store is waiting, and somewhere beyond, other secrets still sleep in its endless rows. But you walk forward differently now. Not as a visitor, but as someone who has been seen, someone who has been read, someone who belongs here. The keeper guides you away from the aisle where your book had been waiting. Their steps are almost soundless, as though the very floor bends to soften their passage. You follow closely, the air cooler now, tinged with the faint scent of candle wax and something sweeter, like honey or lavender. The shelves narrow into a corridor, and at the very end of it, you notice a soft golden glow, pulsing gently, like the rhythm of a slow heartbeat. As you draw nearer, you see it. Resting on a pedestal carved from pale stone, there is a lantern. But it is unlike any lantern you have ever known. Its frame is delicate, woven from threads of silver that glimmer faintly even in shadow. Instead of glass panes, the lantern holds within it something far more mysterious. A swirling mist, pale and shimmering, as though liquid starlight had been captured and set alight from within. The glow is calm, neither bright nor dim, perfectly balanced, spilling over the nearby shelves in ripples of gold and silver. The room feels warmer here, softer, as though you've stepped into the embrace of an old memory. The keeper lowers their head and speaks in a hushed tone, almost reverent. "This," they whisper, "is the lantern of forgotten dreams. Every soul leaves behind fragments of what it cannot carry forward. Dreams half-remembered, wishes left unspoken, moments too fragile to survive the waking world. And so they come here. The lantern gathers them, holds them, and keeps them safe. You step closer. The mist inside the lantern shifts gently, like smoke stirred by a breeze. At first it seems random, a formless dance of light. But then, as you gaze longer, you begin to see shapes forming within. They appear faintly, like images on water. Here for a breath, gone in the next. A small child running barefoot through a meadow, their laughter carried on the wind. A traveler standing at the edge of a cliff, watching an endless horizon of stars. A pair of hands reaching for each other in the dark, their fingertips brushing but never fully touching. The keeper watches you quietly, letting the visions unfold. Their voice returns, soft and slow. These are not just anyone's forgotten dreams. They are everyone's. Pieces of lives that slipped away. Fragments too delicate for memory to hold. And yet, nothing is ever truly lost. The lantern remembers. You realize, with a shiver of wonder, that some of what you see feels strangely familiar. That child's laughter. Did you once hear it in your own sleep many years ago? That endless horizon. Have you not longed for it, in a dream you could never quite recall upon waking? The images stir something deep within you, a gentle ache, as though you are standing on the edge of remembering something important. The lantern glows a little brighter as you watch, and for a moment, the mist settles into a single clear vision. You see yourself, not as you are now, but as a younger version of yourself lying beneath the night sky, staring upward with eyes full of wonder. You remember that feeling, the unshakable belief that the world was endless, that everything was possible, that the stars were listening. And just as quickly as it appears, the image dissolves back into mist. A calm washes over you, so deep and soothing it feels like a tide pulling at your very thoughts. The keeper's voice drifts again, weaving with the lantern's hum. Forgotten dreams are never gone. They live here, safe and unbroken, waiting to return when hearts are ready. Many dreamers come here, and when they gaze into the lantern, they remember just enough to feel whole again. You step back slightly, breathing slowly, allowing the glow to seep into you. The golden light seems to warm your chest, settling gently around your heart. It does not press or demand. It simply rests there, steady and comforting, as if reminding you of something you had misplaced long ago. The keeper raises one hand, their fingers brushing the air near the lantern, though never touching it. The mist responds, curling slowly toward them, then receding like a tide respecting its boundary. "No one can take what is inside," they explained softly. "The dreams belong to themselves, but they can be remembered. And even the faintest memory of a forgotten dream is enough to bring peace." The silence deepens once more. The glow pulses gently, and you stand there longer than you realize, lulled into stillness by the rhythm of the light. Your thoughts slow. Your body softens. The lantern seems to breathe with you, each rise and fall of your chest mirrored in its shimmer. At last, the keeper turns, their robe trailing lightly across the stone floor. Without words, they guide you onward, leaving the lantern behind. Yet its glow lingers in your mind, like the afterimage of a candle flame when you close your eyes. You know it will remain with you, a quiet reminder that nothing is ever truly lost, that even forgotten dreams wait patiently, glowing softly in the dark, until the dreamer is ready to remember. As Eleanor continued her quiet exploration of the midnight library, she came upon a door unlike any she had seen before. Unlike the tall wooden ones carved with symbols or the ones draped with velvet curtains, this door was made entirely of glass. It shimmered faintly, as though it held back not a room but a world. Through the pane, she glimpsed what looked like moonlit greenery. Vines curling upward, pale blossoms glowing faintly in the darkness, and a path that seemed to stretch endlessly into the unknown. A soft breeze carried the scent of lavender and jasmine, even though the door had not yet been opened. Drawn by a feeling she could not quite name, Eleanor pressed her hand against the glass. The moment she did, the door silently swung open. Beyond it lay a garden unlike any other. It was vast, impossibly vast, stretching farther than her eyes could see, as though the night sky itself had bloomed into a secret landscape. The grass shimmered with a silvery glow, each blade bending softly under the touch of the midnight air. Flowers of every kind, roses, lilies, orchids, and countless she did not know the names of, swayed gently, their petals glowing faintly, as though each carried a spark of moonlight within them. There was no sun, yet the place was alive with radiance. It was not the brilliance of daylight, but the soft, comforting glow that comes only when the world is hushed and quiet. Eleanor stepped forward, and the grass gave way as though it recognized her, opening a path just for her. With each step, the sound of her footsteps faded quickly into silence, replaced by the soothing hum of night insects, the distant chirping of crickets, and the soft rush of wind through the leaves. A strange sense of calm washed over her, deeper than any she had ever felt. This was no ordinary garden. She realized, slowly and with growing wonder, that it was the garden of forgotten dreams. The dreams that people let slip away, the ones they had once cherished but had slowly faded from memory, had not been lost after all. They had taken root here. Each flower that bloomed represented a dream once held tightly in someone's heart, a childhood wish, a fleeting ambition, a quiet hope whispered before sleep. Some flowers glowed with vibrant colors, pulsing gently as though still alive in someone's thoughts. Others were dim, their petals fragile and almost translucent, as if the memory of the dream had been nearly erased. Yet even those faint blooms seemed to cling stubbornly to existence, their quiet persistence as beautiful as the brightest blossom. As Eleanor walked further into the garden, she noticed that the air itself carried whispers. If she stood close to a flower, she could almost hear the fragments of the dream it represented. One pale violet whispered softly of a young girl who once wished to dance upon the largest stage in the world. A golden lily hummed with the dream of a sailor who longed to find a land untouched by maps. A crimson rose murmured of an artist who had wished to paint the colors of the wind itself. Each flower was a story, each petal a memory, each fragrance a gentle echo of a soul's deepest longing. She wandered deeper, breathing in the scents, listening to the chorus of whispers that rose and fell like waves upon a distant shore. Some dreams were grand and filled with daring adventure, while others were simple and tender, dreams of kindness, of home, of laughter shared beneath the warmth of sunlight. The garden seemed endless, yet not overwhelming. Instead, it wrapped Eleanor in a sense of timelessness. She could have walked forever, and still there would be more dreams to discover. After some time, Eleanor found a bench of white stone nestled beneath a tree with leaves that shimmered silver and gold. She sat down, and as she did, the tree seemed to bend slightly toward her, as if inviting her to rest. From this spot, she could see the vast expanse of the garden stretching endlessly outward, glowing softly in every direction. She closed her eyes and listened, truly listened, to the symphony of forgotten dreams. It was not sad. Though these were dreams that had slipped away, they had not vanished. They had transformed into something eternal, something beautiful, something that still mattered. The garden was a sanctuary, a reminder that even the quietest hopes and the gentlest wishes had a place where they would always be remembered. A thought stirred within her heart. Perhaps her own forgotten dreams were blooming here too, somewhere among the glowing flowers. Dreams she had once carried, then left behind in the busyness of life. And if that was true, then maybe she could find them again. Not to relive the past, but to remember the parts of herself she had let slip away. The breeze grew softer, carrying with it the fragrance of roses and the soothing hum of crickets. Eleanor leaned back against the stone bench, her eyelids heavy, her breath slow and calm. She felt as though the garden itself was lulling her into peace, wrapping her in its gentle embrace. For the first time in what felt like forever, she let herself drift, comforted by the thought that no dream was ever truly lost. They simply waited here, glowing quietly, for someone to remember them. As Eleanor rose slowly from the stone bench in the Garden of Forgotten Dreams, her steps carried her along a narrow path that seemed to wind of its own accord, guiding her without her needing to choose. The flowers swayed softly as she passed, glowing faintly, their whispers blending into a single low hum that was almost like a lullaby. The deeper she walked, the quieter everything became, until the sound of her footsteps seemed to be the only movement in the entire garden. Ahead, she noticed something glimmering faintly, a soft shimmer like moonlight reflecting on water. Drawn toward it, Eleanor followed the path until it ended at a circular clearing. In the center of the clearing stood what appeared to be a tall mirror, framed in silver vines that twined upward and downward in delicate patterns. Unlike ordinary glass, its surface rippled gently, as though it were not solid at all but liquid, a still pool standing upright. The light of the moon above reflected across its surface, yet no stars appeared, no sky seemed to be waiting. Eleanor felt a shiver run through her, not of fear, but of anticipation, as though this mirror had been waiting only for her. She stepped closer, her reflection beginning to form, though it was hazy, softened as though she were seeing not herself, but a dream of herself. Her eyes gazed back at her, calm and steady, but behind them she could sense movement. Slowly, the mirror began to shift, and her reflection dissolved like mist. In its place, scenes unfolded, not of the library, not of the garden, but of moments from her own life. The mirror was not made to show the present or even the future. This was the mirror of memory, and it revealed the dreams she herself had once carried, the ones she had almost forgotten. She watched as the surface rippled gently and revealed an image of herself as a child, sitting cross-legged on her bedroom floor. In her lap rested a notebook, filled with half-finished stories and scribbled drawings of worlds she had once longed to create. She remembered the joy she had felt in inventing those places, the certainty that she would one day share them with others. The memory faded, and another appeared. Herself as a teenager, standing in a darkened stage, the faint glow of a spotlight above her. She had once wanted to sing, not for fame, but simply to pour her heart into sound. That dream too had been left behind, tucked away in some corner of her heart. One by one, the mirror unfolded her forgotten hopes, the wish to travel far across oceans, the longing to live in a small cottage by the sea, the quiet desire to learn an instrument she never touched. Eleanor's eyes softened. None of these dreams had been lost entirely. They lived still in this garden, reflected now in this mirror. The longer she gazed, the more she realized that the mirror did not simply show what had been forgotten. It reminded her that those dreams had shaped who she was, even if she had not fulfilled them. The stories she had written as a child had taught her imagination. The music she had wanted to sing had left her with an ear for rhythm and silence. The longing to travel had filled her with curiosity about the world. They had not disappeared. They had simply become part of her, quietly, gently, always present. As she stood before the mirror of memory, Eleanor felt no regret. Instead, she felt peace. She understood now that dreams did not need to vanish, even if they were not realized exactly as imagined. They lived on in the ways they had touched her, in the ways they had shaped her heart. They became part of her story, part of her soul's quiet journey. The mirror rippled once more, and this time Eleanor saw something different. It was not a memory but a possibility. She saw herself seated at a desk by candlelight, writing again, not for recognition, but for the simple joy of putting words to page. She saw herself humming quietly while walking through a forest, her voice a soft companion to the rustle of leaves. She saw herself sitting by the sea, not needing to travel far, but finding peace in the rhythm of the waves. The mirror was showing her that forgotten dreams could return, not as they once were, but as seeds ready to grow again in new ways. Eleanor placed her hand gently on the surface of the mirror. It rippled beneath her touch, cool and calming, like dipping her fingers into a still lake at night. She closed her eyes and whispered a thank you, not only to the mirror but to herself, to the younger versions of her who had once carried those dreams so carefully. When she opened her eyes again, the reflection shifted once more, and this time she saw only her own face, calm and serene, gazing back at her with quiet strength. The silver vines around the frame shimmered, and the clearing seemed to hum softly with approval, as though the garden itself had acknowledged her journey. Eleanor stepped back, her heart lighter than before. She no longer felt like a visitor wandering through a strange place. She felt like someone who belonged here, someone who understood that the garden was not just a collection of forgotten dreams, but also a reflection of herself. The path opened once more, inviting her onward. The mirror of memory stood quietly behind her, its surface now still, as though waiting for another soul to one day seek its truths. Eleanor turned and walked forward, carrying with her the calm realization that nothing within her had ever truly been lost. Every dream, every hope, every memory lived quietly within her, ready to bloom again when she was ready to remember. Eleanor continued along the winding path, the gentle hush of the garden of forgotten dreams surrounding her like a soft embrace. Each step was unhurried, her pace slowed by the serenity that had settled deep inside her. She felt no need to rush. The air was filled with a quiet sweetness, the fragrance of night-blooming flowers drifting through the breeze, mingling with the faint hum of the universe itself. Somewhere behind her, the mirror of memory stood silent, holding her reflections safely. But ahead, a new light began to glow, not sharp, not blinding, but warm, as though the stars themselves were guiding her forward. At the end of the path, Eleanor saw a great wooden doorway. It was tall, arched, and framed in ivy, as if the garden had grown it into being. Its surface was carved with symbols she didn't recognize, yet they felt familiar, as though they had always been part of her. A soft golden glow seeped through the cracks, not like sunlight, but like the shimmer of 1,000 candles in the distance. This she knew was the way out, or perhaps the way deeper in. She could not tell which. The air around the doorway pulsed gently, like a slow heartbeat. She reached out, brushing her fingers against the wood. It was warm to the touch, alive. She could almost feel it breathing. As her hand rested there, the door shifted slightly, not opening fully, but enough to let the glow spill across her face. And in that glow, Eleanor felt the presence of something vast and kind, something ancient, yet intimately close, as though the garden itself were saying goodbye. She closed her eyes and simply stood there for a while. In the silence, she let everything she had seen and felt settle into her heart. The books that held other people's dreams, the garden that bloomed with forgotten ones, the mirror that showed her own hidden longings. Each had left its imprint, gentle but lasting. She realized that none of these things had been meant to be taken away. They were not treasures to carry in her hands. They were truths to carry in her soul. With a slow breath, she pushed the door open a little wider. The glow enveloped her, wrapping around her like a blanket, soft and steady. Beyond the threshold, she did not see streets or buildings or the city she had left behind. Instead, she saw a vast expanse of stars, drifting endlessly, suspended in a deep velvet sky. The stars were not distant. They were close, so close she felt she could step among them. Their light shimmered gently, not demanding attention, but offering calm, like thousands of lanterns guiding her through the night. For a moment she hesitated. Was this the end of her journey, or just the beginning of another? She did not know. But the stars whispered softly, like a chorus of voices, telling her that it did not matter. The path of dreams had no true end. It only opened into more and more wonder, as long as she remained open to seeing it. Eleanor stepped forward, her foot crossing the threshold. Immediately, the light surrounded her, and the stars seemed to rise and fall like waves, cradling her in their glow. She felt her body grow lighter, as though gravity itself had let go of her. The worries she had carried when she first entered the library, the weight of daily life, the heaviness of forgotten hopes, all melted away, dissolving like mist at sunrise. What remained was only peace. She floated or perhaps walked among the stars. It was impossible to tell. Time no longer moved in minutes or hours, but in heartbeats, in breaths, in the steady rhythm of calm. Each star she passed pulsed softly, and in each pulse, she thought she could hear a dream being born somewhere in the world. Child imagining a castle, a musician humming a new melody, a traveler dreaming of faraway lands. Dreams were not fragile things, she realized. They were eternal, passing between people like sparks of light, never truly lost, always waiting to be remembered. The stars grew brighter, and the warmth deepened. Eleanor felt her eyelids grow heavy. She did not resist. This was not the heaviness of exhaustion, but the gentle drowsiness of being completely safe. She let it wash over her, sinking into it like a soft bed. Her last conscious thought was a simple truth: that she was not alone, had never been alone. She was held by the same light that held the stars, the same quiet current that carried every dreamer into rest. And with that, Eleanor drifted. The stars faded into a soft glow, the glow faded into darkness, and the darkness cradled her gently. She was asleep, yet she was awake in another way, alive within the endless dream of the universe. The library, the garden, the mirror, the doorway, all of it remained, waiting patiently, ready to open again for anyone who sought the comfort of forgotten dreams. So if you too ever wander into the night, carrying the weight of your own quiet hopes and longings, know that there is always a door waiting for you, a door that leads not away from yourself but deeper into who you are. And when you pass through it, you will find the same peace, the same gentle embrace, that Eleanor found among the stars. For in the end, every dream is simply a doorway back to yourself, and to the light that never fades.